Hey guys, just wanted to share a thought with you today. You know, in Philippians, Paul tells us that God has given Jesus a name which is above all names. He says at the very mention of the name of Jesus that every knee will bow, those in heaven, those on earth, those under the earth. And you know, at some point every tongue is going to confess. Why? Because there's power in the name of Jesus. Now, I just wanted to share with you briefly just a few thoughts about that. Very early in our marriage, in fact, it was on our honeymoon, Jennifer and I were staying at her uncle's cabin up in the mountains, and our first night there, we were lying in bed, and I woke up in a cold sweat and couldn't hardly breathe, and I felt like I was suffocating. I felt like I was being constricted, and I saw a dark figure come into the room, and it moved across my end of the bed, and it was going around the bed towards Jennifer, and I tried to move, and I couldn't. I tried to scream, and I couldn't. I wanted to shout, I wanted to say something, I wanted to warn her, but something wouldn't let me. You know, and then finally, in a panic, you know, full of fear, this was my new bride, I just was able to whisper, Jesus. That's all I could do. I just barely got it out, Jesus. And the dark figure fled from the room. It just, it almost just vanished. It went from the room so fast. You know, Jennifer and I have been married over 20 years, and I believe then the enemy knew the love we would have between us, the relationship we would have between us, and the fact that we would be a ministry couple. And I believe the enemy at that point was trying to begin to wreak havoc in our marriage. But you know, there's power in the name of Jesus. And you can believe that story or not. It doesn't matter to me whether you believe it or not. I was there. I know it's real, and I know the power of Jesus. And I know he caused the enemy to flee from that room that night. You know, there was another time in 2011, I was in a head-on motorcycle accident. A lady didn't see me, and she turned in front of me, and my motorcycle hit between the Toyota emblem in the center of the hood and her driver's side headlight. And I flew over the handlebars, I hit her windshield, and I tumbled down the road. And I could remember lying there in the road, and as my eyes opened, I saw headlights coming at me, and I was like, Lord knows, I don't want to be a speed bump. And but without even really thinking, as I was about to pass out, everything was going dark. I just said, help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. That's all I could say was, help me, Jesus. Help me, Jesus. And it's like light flooded into my mind, and my eyes opened, and I could clearly see, and I was able to roll myself out of the road, and he began to help me. Why? Because there's power in the name of Jesus. I was home that night in my own recliner. And the doctors at the hospital, they said, we can't figure it out, we can't explain it, but we can't find anything wrong with you. Now, my wife would disagree with that. There is something definitely wrong with me, and I did kind of hit my head, and maybe that explains a lot, but you know, even the highway patrolman said we should have scooped you up off the road with a shovel. But there's power in the name of Jesus. You know, and more recently, just the other day, I had somewhat of an emergency. I had to leave the house and go do something, take care of something. And on my way home, I stopped at a convenience store here in town. And everybody was practicing social distancing. There was 6-foot spaces marked on the floor. So I got in the back of the line, all the way at the back of the store. And there were two ladies at the front, and they were just beginning to argue over one of them breaking in line or something of that nature. And it began to escalate really quickly. Bad language was being thrown around, threats were being thrown around, and it was almost about to be a fight, and they were threatening each other, and everyone around was looking uncomfortable. And I thought, you know, God, I've got to do something. And before I knew it, my mouth is open, and I was just going, Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him more and more. I was singing to the top of my lungs, and that was the first song that came out. Everybody in the store began to look at me, even the people behind the register. The only two people that weren't looking were the two ladies still arguing. So I jumped into the chorus again once I finished it. But this time, a lady in line started singing with me. And then about halfway through the chorus, a man in line started singing with me. And then the two ladies that were arguing, they stopped and they were staring at us. They both turned around and quietly paid for their items. They both left the building. They both got in their cars, and they both drove away without further incident. Why? Because there's power in the name of Jesus. He brought peace into that room. When we began to sing the name of Jesus, he brought peace in. Whatever anger, whatever frustration, whatever was inside of them that was coming out, it had to stop. at the mention of the name of Jesus, and they left in peace. So I'm telling you all this just to say, whatever you're going through today, whatever you're facing, remember there's power in the name of Jesus. If you can't say it, if you can't shout it, sing it. If you can't sing it, whisper it. As long as you can get it out and believe in faith He's going to move, He'll move. You know, in the 10 Commandments, it says we shouldn't use God's name in vain. And so many times we take that to mean you don't say it in anger, you don't say it in frustration, you don't say it with a cuss word. But I also believe it means you don't say it without expecting something to happen. Because when you say the name of Jesus, if you don't expect something to happen, you've used His name in vain. You've wasted His name. You've wasted His power. So let's remember that. Whatever you're going through right now, speak the name of Jesus. He'll help you, and He'll be there with you. So coming from my backyard, just me, and I'm hanging out with this good-looking chick right here. Okay, she's camera shy, but just remember, God is in control, and there's power in the name of Jesus. Love you guys.